One thing that I read is that your parents took the two of you to visit concerts. Is there one concert that that stands out for you?
I think my first concert that I went to with my parents was we went to see Rush this one time with a friend of ours that they were in town, and yeah, that show was pretty incredible. It was a lot of fun, and yeah, getting to see live bands. I think that Lzzy and I always had stage envy. We called it stage envy because we always wanted to be on stage playing. Every time we would see a band, we would feel very, we would feel this desire to actually be on stage performing for people. And I think a lot of the concerts that we went to growing up they were mostly local bands in the local Pennsylvania area in the United States, and it was pretty cool. When we first started playing as a band, there was a really good local community of rock bands, original rock bands, and yeah, when we first started playing, everyone started really helping us out. They let us open up for them at concerts, and we would just, I guess they just they thought it was cute that these kids were wanted to play music, because we were young. We were like, when we started the band, I was 10 and my sister was 13. So yeah, when we first started out, we were pretty young, and I think that the local bands thought that it was a fun little gimmick that these little kids wanted to play. So yeah, we'll let them open up for us. Why not? And then well, here we are, still doing it.
Well, those were local bands. Is there one local band that you still recall that was actually pretty good?
Yeah, actually, there was this metal band called Spine Belt. Really badass name for a band, probably the most badass band name ever. They were like a really just cool, like heavy kind of industrial metal band, and they were really cool. They kind of were one of the local bands that were doing well and that were having some success that kind of let us open up for them and let us play with them, and I'm not sure. I think they might still be playing.
Yeah.
But yeah, they were a really good band. There was this band called Dead Leaves, this other band called Pop Tart Monkeys, who had a really great band name. Yeah, this band called Negative Space. There was, I know I'm forgetting so many, but there were so many really cool bands and we were all kind of going up together, and then, but then we, like after playing around the local scene, our guitar player and bass player at the time had left the band. So Lzzy and I, we kind of started working with this producer in Philadelphia. We kind of dropped off the scene for about 2 years. And for a while, we started working with this producer in Philadelphia and kind of developing our sound. And then the producer started booking us showcases in New York City. After we, had something established, and after we had some songs together, and we found Joe and Josh to play bass and guitar for us. So yeah, shortly after all that came together, we started showcasing in New York City, and then ended up just being lucky enough to be one of the local Pennsylvania bands that got signed. And so, because we've been doing it for ourselves, for so long, and we were doing the same thing. We were starting to headline shows in Pennsylvania when we had our full lineup together and we had our songs together. We started playing over 250 shows a year, just regionally along the East Coast of the U.S., and letting other local bands open up for us. A bunch of really, really cool bands like this band called Jealousy Curve from Pennsylvania. All these bands you've never heard of, but they're incredible bands that we felt were worthy of getting signed and being huge, but just never worked out for them, unfortunately. But
how come you think? How come you made it and they didn't?
I don't know. I mean, we tried actually helping out some of the bands that opened up for us. We took their CDs and gave it to our manager, like, hey, what do you guys think of this band? And I guess they never found the right people that could truly see their potential. I think that's a huge important part. There's a quote somewhere that says, I forget how it goes, but but somebody quoted something on my Facebook page today, saying that like an artist, I'm sorry, a singer without, or a musician without a good manager is like the best piece of art locked up in a closet. You know, nobody ever sees it. So I think a lot of it had to do with it. Just I think a big part of us getting lucky and getting the ability to be signed and and put a record out was that the people that saw us showcase in New York City, they saw potential in us, and they saw like we can do something with this. And unfortunately, there's just so many incredible bands that just never get that chance to have those people that can market you and put you out there. That, you know, they never are seen by the right people, and it's kind of sad. But we just got lucky.
Who is it? Who is a producer in Philadelphia?
His name is David Ivory, and he's a really talented. He was more like a developer. He started helping Lzzy and I with our songwriting, with our performing. He really was hard on me with the drums because I really wasn't very good back then. So he put me with a bunch of studio drummers, and it was really good hands-on training for working in a professional studio. Because I mean, Lzzy and I, we've worked in studios before. We self-produced 3 records before we were even signed. But after working with our producer in Philly, he really it was like really hardcore military training for playing in the studio and for writing and for developing songs and stuff like that. And he actually helped us find our guitar player and our bass player. He was definitely a big part of it. So yeah, and he was the one that booked us in New York and got us to showcases. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Before we go into the Halestorm albums, I want to go back. You started playing the piano when you were 5, right?
Well, my sister started playing the piano when she was 5. Okay. I also took piano lessons, but I kind of drifted off that and went more into percussion. I started playing. How come? I started playing. How come? Yeah. I don't know. Well, when we were growing up, you know, every time we'd go out and see a band, I always watched the drummer. I always loved. It always just looked like the most fun instrument ever, and I was kind of a wild child and kind of a crazy kid, as you could probably tell. So
crazy meaning.
I wanted to. I don't know. I was just a very rambunctious, very noisy child. So growing up, the drums seemed like a really fun thing, and it was actually kind of therapeutic for me. It actually kind of helped me get some energy out, you know, on the drums, and it's obviously worked pretty good to my advantage, you know, because now I'm getting to do it for a career. But
well, what if you didn't have the drum outlet?
If I didn't have the drum outlet, I'd be involved in music somehow. I'd either be singing or playing guitar or something, you know. For some reason, drums just seemed like the most fun instrument, and after starting out on drums, it's actually helped me branch off into playing guitar and singing, playing piano, writing songs and stuff like that. And I think it really helped me growing up just to have an understanding of rhythm in the most bare bones way, which, you know, drums are the most rhythmic instrument and the most bare bones. Like every instrument has to play rhythm, you know, but with the drums are the ones that are actually creating and leading the band rhythmically. And I think that really helped me understand rhythm a lot growing up. And I think it really helped me understand how to structure songs and how to create or to write music that people can listen to and kind of, you know, I think it's important for a song to have a groove, and that's usually where I start with writing. I start with the groove, and then I'll write on top of that. I think that kind of helped me actually. And
well, you're in a band with your sister.
Yeah.
Do you have some sort of memories before you actually were into music?
A little bit. My parents, they moved to. Well, we all moved into this log cabin in the woods. We were on this mountain for about 3 years. I think when I was 6. Well, I think it was mostly just financial issues and also family issues. when Lzzy and I were really little, we lived in a in a duplex house with my mom's stepfather. But my mom's stepfather, he was kind of a drunken asshole. I don't know if I can say that. And yeah, we didn't really get along very well, and he just really wasn't like really pleasant to be around. So we packed up and left, and we found this really cool place like right in the middle of the woods, and it was cheap because you know, growing up we didn't have a lot of money. So we were in this little cabin in the middle of the woods. We had no neighbors. We had really nothing around us. So you know, I think normally growing up, you start to, as a kid, you start to make friends with your neighbors. You start spending time with them. You go to the mall. You go smoke weed or whatever, you know. But Lzzy and I really didn't have any of that growing up. So it was basically just us. It was just the two of us. And I think that we were forced to be best friends with each other because we had no one else to hang out with. So we would always hang out together, and we always, you know, loved music, and yeah, our dad played bass, so music was always in the family. And my parents got my sister a little toy Kmart drum set for Christmas one year, and when no one was around, I would sneak in and play it. And then after like 6 or 7 times being caught playing my sister's drum set in her room, I think that the 3 of them just eventually gave it to me. So yeah, after doing that, and then my sister got a little keyboard for Christmas, and we kind of set up our instruments in this walk-in closet, and we started kind of jamming together when I was probably around 5 years old, and she was probably 8.
Was this also in the woods?
Yes, yeah, in this log cabin in the woods. Yeah. Eventually we moved out of that after 3 years, and we lived in a 20-acre farm. And that was really cool because we had a lot of land, and we had a barn, and we set up, and I eventually got a really nice drum set, and we set it up in the barn, and we set up, my dad was playing bass at the time, so we had his amp, and we set up a PA system, and my sister started playing guitar, so we had a guitar amp, and so the 3 of us would just kind of jam out in the barn at the farm. Little do we know, though, you know, it was really loud. So the surrounding neighbors that we had actually set up a petition to shut down the music, which nobody signed, thank God. But it was pretty funny.